Back here watching the agenda. A 5-kilometer walk, prayer meeting and dialogue around gender-based violence will take place in Tembisa on Gauteng's East Rand this morning. This coming just a week after a nurse from Tembisa Hospital was gunned down allegedly by her police boyfriend. Tembisa is among the areas most affected by this type of crime. It's a crime hotspot itself in the country. Participants include Act Now, National Liquor Traders Association, the Minister of Social Development, Lindiwe Zulu, the Gauteng Community Safety MEC, Faith Mazibuko, and other stakeholders. We cross now to our reporter, Mbalenhle Mthethwa, who has the very latest from there. So, Mbalenhle, the timing obviously very fortuitous, if one can use that term, because, or should I say, sparked by the death recently of Lebo Muneno, who's been buried today in Mokopane. But she was not the only one. Coming from the East Rand myself, I know that gender-based violence is a challenge that's been there for decades and somehow has become accepted by members of the community.
You know, Tembisa, you make a very good point and a very valid point that gender-based violence is one of those social ills that has been part of our communities for a very long time. As we were driving in, the group of young students gathered here who were dressed in school uniform were singing one of these old songs that we're so used to hearing and that we might have even forgotten about it, which with the lyrics rather, Sumbulala ngobu zomdinga, meaning don't kill the person or him or her because you'll need them one day. And this is just an indication of how long our communities have had to deal with the scourge of gender-based violence, which seems to be on the spotlight after many incidents have actually been reported on and spoken of quite publicly. And of recently, it is that fatal shooting of the nurse who passed away at Tembisa Hospital. So what I've heard so far from the people who are here is that they're tired of being victimized. They're tired of falling victim to issues like rape and so on. And it seems as though this is an opportunity for them to continue to make that stand and make sure that their voices are heard when it comes to standing up against gender-based violence and ensuring the safety of women and children in local communities and in communities such as Tembisa. This is not the first time that we're seeing something of this nature taking place in Tembisa. Just before the end of the year, last year, MEC for Public Safety, Faith Mazibuko, was here trying to restore law enforcement, going to various places of leisure where she was targeting and just ensuring that those places do provide a safe environment for women, given the fact that it was pointed out last year in the Minister of Police's statistics that many of the women who were attacked or fell victim to rape actually came from places of leisure or were at places of leisure. But I'm actually not alone. I'm joined by someone from the Liquor Traders Association, the convener, who's going to be speaking to us about the reason that they've chosen to throw their weight behind this initiative and initiatives such as this, which speak to ending gender-based violence. Thank you so much for speaking to us like you. Talk to us about your reasons for participating in this walk.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. We see ourselves as liquor traders having a key role to play in making sure that we fight against gender-based violence. Gender-based violence in our country has now reached pandemic proportions. Just if you look at the results that were released by the minister yesterday, almost 11,300 women were raped in a 3-month period that was reported out. If you look at that number on an annual basis, that is enough to fill Moses Mabhida Stadium. So this is a big problem that we all have to confront. And we see ourselves as having that role to play because we have social spaces where people come and enjoy alcohol beverages. So as liquor traders, we've taken a stand to make sure that we are going to create safe zones. When people come into our spaces, they are going to be safe. And we are going to ensure that, we provide those safe spaces to women and children, as well as outside society that we operate in. We have to do this. Otherwise, our country is going down the drain because no one seems to want to take responsibility. But we are saying as liquor traders, we take full responsibility in what happens in our outlets, but also in what happens in our communities and society. And we stand hand to shoulder with Act Now, an organization that is behind the work that we'll be doing today to create awareness around the issue of gender-based violence. But we also like to thank Santaka, which has provided us with this taxi rank where we are congregating today, but as well as Distel, which is funding the Tavern Dialogues that we have been running in the country.
Now talk to us about how exactly you want to go about ensuring the safety of women and of people at places of leisure.
So what we are doing is we are running what we call Tavern Dialogues on Gender-Based Violence. So this is targeted at liquor traders across the country. We've been running this program for the past 2 years, and it's fully funded by Distel, with Act Now being the partner that execute this on the ground. We feel that if we are able to get liquor traders to take a stand, but also encourage people that come into our taverns to also form partnerships in those taverns to ensure that we have a community developed strategy that is able to deal with issue of gender-based violence. Men are not able to have conversations around the issue of gender-based violence, and we are hoping that with the Tavern Dialogues we can get men to open up to talk about the issues that affect them, because we cannot run away from the fact that gender-based violence is perpetrated mostly by men, and we need to get men to take a stand and fight gender-based violence.
And as part of these conversations and these dialogues that you'll be having, are you going to be providing services like counseling and so on, professional services, because it seems as though there is a need for that in our community?
Certainly there is a need for that, and we're at an advanced stage in conversation with the Consumer Goods Council of South Africa to also even provide the toll-free number where people that are victims of gender-based violence can call into that hotline where they can get support. But also with the support of Distel, we are providing victims of gender-based violence with dignity packs, which contains sanitary ware as well as soap, toothpaste and the like, to ensure that we give dignity back to those that have been abused, to those that have fallen prey to this perpetrators of gender-based violence. So we are working hand in hand with the corporate sector to make sure that we fight gender-based violence, and we'll continue to do so.
Now, talk to me, when you have these dialogues, right, do you have professionals such as counsellors that are going to be participating in those dialogues and ensuring that, if there are any challenges or issues that do arise, they are dealt with appropriately by a professional?
Yes, certainly. So we make use of professional counsellors in these dialogues, because as you can imagine, the issues that emanate from the conversations that we're having at taverns, some are so difficult that a layman like myself will not be able to deal with. So for us is to facilitate those dialogues and ensure that we get professionals to really talk to people that are affected by gender-based violence, and ensure that we are able to ensure that we deal with the issue of gender-based violence at a tavern level, but also at communities and society in which our places of trade are next to.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. There you have it. If you have a look behind me, you will see that the walk has started. The police are actually driving behind the marchers, and they will be joined by Minister of Social Development Lindiwe Zulu on the other side, as well as MEC for Community Safety Faith Mazibuko, and other cabinet members are going to be there, where these conversations are going to be had around gender-based violence and with community members, in the hope and in an effort to try and change certain mindsets around gender-based violence. This is one of those initiatives where they hope to at least change the mindsets in order to change behaviors. It's back to you in studio.